I just bought the cheapest Toyota GT86 in the world at just 3 grand. And I'm gonna rebuild it and sell it for profit. I found this hole in the engine and I spent hours taking the engine out, fixing it and putting it back in the car, all for this to happen when I tried to start it for the first time. It's set on fire. Now, I'm not sure what damage it caused, but if I can't get this car running, I've got a 3 grand paperweight. Well, that was absolutely terrifying. This car is going to be the end of me. But to sell it for profit, I'm going to have this car running and not setting on fire. So I got under, took off the exhaust to check if there was any oil leaks that might start a fire. Now I can't actually see any oil leaks in here. And I did brake clean the bottom of the engine before starting it. So I'm wondering if that fire was caused by brake cleaner, but I guess we'll never know. So I'm just going to blame it on the brake cleaner and hope that there's no more fires. But since I'm here, I've got access to the sump, which is basically where all the oil sits in the engine. And then in that you have a pickup pipe, which is like a straw that sucks all the oil into the oil pump and around the engine. Now these engines are known for being put together with loads of silicon sealant, and this breaks down, falls into the sump and blocks the oil pickup pipe. So if this happens, then you've got no oil going around your engine and it's going to explode. So I wanted to be safe and take the sump off and see if there's anything dangerous blocking this pickup pipe, and it looked a little bit blocked. So I cleaned up that, I cleaned up the sump, so everything is clean, ready to start the engine, and then removed all of the old gasket so that I can lay a bead of new gasket that seals correctly and put it back on the car, ready for some new oil. So I'm sending it, the headers are on, I'm going to mount this new shiny decap mid-pipe. And the reason why I've got to fit this aftermarket exhaust is because when I bought the car, someone cut half the exhaust off and robbed it. So this came with the car and I fitted it. And before I forget, because I know I will, I'm going to drop the car, put it in 6th and torque up the crank pulley. And now, after doing my best to make sure there's going to be no more fires, I've fitted the radiator and plugged in the fans so that I can run this car without worrying about it overheating. So obviously I filled up the radiator with coolant, and then I changed this old oil filter because that's probably been sat there for years. And now I know it's not recommended, but I'm putting the old oil back in just in case I have to drain it again, and then connecting the air intake. Now I think the final piece to this puzzle to get it a running, driving, but ugly GT86 is this £250 of math sensor. Someone definitely took this off at the auction because they are worth a lot of money. So because I don't have screws for the math sensor just yet, it's zip tied on. Don't start commenting just yet, I will screw it in, but for now, the front of this airbox goes on because the old one was cracked, and in goes a brand new air filter. And with Alan preparing the fire extinguisher in case this goes wrong again, I started priming the oil to go around the engine, so cranking it without starting the car, and then... Could be,
valve stock opener somewhere, isn't it?
Right then, so it does run. No major signs of oil leaks, but it's definitely misfiring on at least one cylinder. And on top of that, the radiator is leaking, but the smoke from the exhaust did clear. But because it's misfiring, I think the engine's coming out again. Because to check which cylinder was misfiring, I used a thermometer to see which exhaust manifold was the coldest, and it was the cylinder that I did all the internal engine work on, and put the incorrect rocker arm in. The only thing I think it can be is because I've raised the follower and not the valve, the rocker will be sitting at the wrong angle, and that'll change the time in a slight bit, and I'm hoping that's the reason that it's done. So I've got a new rocker, but to get it into the car, the engine needs to come out again, and I am wasting no time. So I quickly disconnected everything in between the engine and the car, drained the coolant system, removed the radiator so I had more space, and then pulled the engine up and away from the car. It's easier to explain than it is to do. That was just as hard as the last time, and although I've done it before, still a massive relief that I've got it out. And I'm in a rush to get my money and profit back out of this car, so I quickly drained the oil and unbolted the crank pulley, drained the rest of the coolant in the engine, and got rid of all the pulleys that I needed to in order to remove the timing chain cover. And this has to come off because it's connected to the cam gears, which are connected to the cam cover, which I need to remove. And let me remind you, whilst I remove these spark plugs and coil packs, that only 10% of the people that watch these videos are subscribed. So if you like it, please hit subscribe. Then with the rocker cover removed, I can get on to removing the timing chain, which involves releasing this tensioner and removing it, and then I can take the chain off all of the way and then pull this cam cover off, revealing the damage. And finally I'm about halfway there, which isn't too bad because I've done it in about half a day. But this cam has been scored and the rocker is pretty damaged as well. I'm not too sure why. It's probably my DIYing that I've done. And with the correct rocker setup, it should be fine, I think. But here you can just about see that lifter is sitting higher than the ones next to it. And that is where my issues are coming from. And that's because this washer that I put in is crooked, pushing the rocker further into the cam, giving it no clearance, and that's what's worn the cam. But I'm gonna whack the new rocker on, put it all together, and send it. And after removing this old washer, I'm gonna clean up the cam because it did a little bit of damage, but it's only in the middle where the follower was touching. Now the rocker touches the whole way round, and it's not that bad, so I'm gonna send it. With that washer removed, the lift is now sitting at the right height, and in goes a brand new set of fresh rockers that are the right ones this time. On goes the cam cover, and then I can check the valve clearances to make sure they're within the tolerances set by Toyota. And with that done, all I can do is torque everything up, hope and pray that that was my issue, and fingers crossed I've got a running, healthy sounding engine when I get this back in the car. And with the chain all fitted and in time, this time I am doing something differently, and that is replacing all the O-rings inside the timing chain cover just to make sure that there's no leaks at all. And with that torqued up, it's almost time to get this back in the car. Now that that's done, I'm absolutely buzzing, and I genuinely feel like it's the first time so far I've felt like I'm making progress with this build. And I'm going to reward myself. It's time to put new shiny parts on, including our first modification. So I'm going to start with putting the spark plugs in and replacing the coil packs. And adding a few modifications isn't just because it's fun, but I really think it will help sell the car, and the new owner's going to be happy with it. And after that, it's time for a new lightened balanced flywheel. So that should improve the throttle response of the car. It'll make it a little more difficult to get going from a standstill, but that's all right. And I think it should make the car a little bit faster going through the revs when you drive, and I might be wrong on that. You can tell me if that's incorrect. But I removed that old crusty clutch and flywheel. I'm so looking forward to this flywheel because I've never had a lightweight flywheel before, and this super easy. This. Oh. And this means when I'm trying to sell this car for a profit, when they view it, they'll have a much better driving experience. So much lighter. So I've got a new pilot bearing to put in this flywheel, so that was making a noise whenever I pulled up the clutch pedal, it was rattling. So I'm going to fit the new pilot bearing to this flywheel, clean it all up well and proper with brake cleaner, and then get it all in. And I had to insert these little pins from the old flywheel because they're what line up the clutch and make sure it's in the right place. And with the flywheel all torqued up, whacking a fly bar in between the bell housing and the teeth on the flywheel, on goes the clutch with the clutch alignment tool, torque that up, and now I've got a brand new clutch and a race spec flywheel, which I think should really help sell this car. I'm so happy that I've got that done. I've got my shiny new parts on the car, and it's going to drive so well. I cannot wait to test out this lightweight flywheel. But one more step before getting it in the car was fitting some more stuff to the front of the engine, fit the new parts inside the gearbox, so the release bearing, which deserved a little clean up, and then some grease as well to make sure the new part moves freely and doesn't squeak or anything like that. I won't lie, this has been so tough. Engine in, engine out, broken part, but I actually feel like I'm finally making headway with this, and I cannot wait to get it on the road and get it to some shows. Now, we'll be flipping this car for a profit. Maybe one of you guys could own this car. And in the next clip, you'll see me fitting the engine, which actually started off really smooth and it was going well. But then after about an hour, and then after another hour and another hour, I was really struggling to get this engine mated up with the gearbox. This is how close I've got it, and I'm just gonna start tightening the bolts. You shouldn't do this because if someone's not lined up, it'll just make it worse. But at this point, I'm on my own. I don't really have another option. My arms just have no strength in them anymore. I can't keep tilting the engine to try and get it mated up. And eventually it finally bolted up, and I could drop this car and in theory have a running and driving GT86 for the first time in the project. At least that's what I thought whilst I was doing some last finishing touches on the car, like the auxiliary belt, fitting the radiator and filling up the fluids, until I went to check how much oil was in the car. This car cannot let me live in peace. The dipstick is stuck. I don't know if it's trapped in the timing chain cover or it's silicone, but it's stuck. I am genuinely borderline tears here. This is my own fault, but I've just checked with a mirror and the dipstick is sandwiched in between the timing chain cover and the head. So, I can't cope with this car anymore. This is what happens when you're taking a job like this and you've no idea what you're doing. What an idiot. But I'm gonna run it, see if I fix that misfire, see if that dipstick is leaking, and go from there. Battery's connected. I'm actually terrified, but let's have it. So I'm gonna try and prime the oil pump again by ignition off, both pedals down. Right, send it, I suppose. That sounded horrendous. I am really losing the will right now. I don't know what's wrong with this, but it sounds horrendous. Try it again. And I can't bear to take this engine out again, and all I'm thinking now is I've just wasted all of my money. It's really not happy at all, and I'm not going to get it back. I don't know why. I don't know why it's running worse than it was last time. That's running on like one cylinder. Yeah. You gotta laugh, haven't you? You gotta laugh. And here I was thinking the sensible thing to do is give up. I've spent hours and hours on this project and money, and it was going nowhere. I couldn't even get the engine to run. But then it's running! It's running fine! After checking everything, I moved the map. I think air was getting in through the map because it's not bolted down properly. She's running perfectly. No misfire. She's running. There's cold start off. It's still running at 4. Get in! No exhaust leak. She's idling well. 0 engine check lights. She's running smooth as anything. Now I can't get too excited because I've still got that issue with the dipstick to figure out. But it doesn't look like it's leaking oil. There is no oil pressure light on the dash. She's running so smooth. This is like, obviously it's got no front end, but this is like a proper running, driving car. Like, she's running so good. So quiet. Oh man, this is insane. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna take it for a little drive. I have to, don't I? Just got the thing running. And it did not disappoint. After weeks, literally weeks of trying to get this engine sorted, it finally looks like I've managed it. And now, after I fix this dipstick, it's time to get the front end on and make this a proper car. I don't want to drive it too long in case there's issues I don't know about, but she definitely runs and drives. But I'm going to remove the timing chain cover for one last time, take the dipstick out, clean all the old silicone off, and put it back on again. And now we are finally finished with the engine. It's time to rebuild the body. As you saw, the rad is leaking as well, so I'm taking that across the road to a fella who's going to fix that for me. Start building the front end back up, let's go! And the first part I'm tackling is this bent bonnet hinge because it's not going to allow the bonnet to sit flush and in the right place. So with that unbolted, so it's not actually super obvious, but you can see how this has bent away from the bracket, and that is why the bonnet wasn't sitting flat. So, on with the new one. But before installing the fresh new one, this little piece that connects the wing to the chassis of the car needs taken out because that's also bent. And that must mean the wing's been pushed in or pushed down. Now, I was going to fit this front radiator support bracket here, and I've come across the next issue in the build. I thought this bolts on, but what I've realised is this piece here is that piece there, and that is spot welded right there. So there's no way around it. I am gonna have to spot weld it back on. So for that, arch has to come back off after it was one of the first things I fitted. I'm gonna have to drill the welds out of this and then fit it all up again. Now, I've never touched any spot welds before, but I have seen some other people do it, so I'm gonna try drill out the old spot weld to get the old panel off, and then to get the new one back on, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And what I do know is the first step to drilling anything out is punching the middle so you get a nice centre point to anchor your drill bit, which this guy wasn't happy about But then I started off with a smaller drill bit with a flat end, and then went up to a bigger size drill bit which matched the diameter of the spot weld. And then tried to chisel off this old bent arm. And if you remember from the last episode, Alun literally saved me on this project by letting me use this unit to do the work in, and he even stopped the car from burning down by getting the fire extinguisher. Woo! First ever spot weld, completed it, mate. Damn. Now foot to the side. And he is always helping people out when they ask and even when they don't ask. So, as a thank you, I want to make a video surprising him with the money. So guys, any little helps. Please, if you've got a spare £1, donate it to him, and you get to see his happy face when he receives it, again, as a thanks. Third one, completed it. And I'm, for some reason, really happy I got that done. Then I just filed off the extra little nibs that were left, and also a bit of the paint to help it weld. I'm so happy with how that went, considering I've never touched these before. And that chisel I was using was definitely not a spot welding removal tool. Now I just need to figure out how to get the new one on. And to give me the best chance of getting it in the right place, I mounted this brand new second-hand slam panel because the arm it's connected to isn't bent, so in theory that should be in the exact right place. And then I could bolt up this new bracket, and that way I think that's how I know that it's in the right place. I've bolted up all of the brackets, and this one is ready to be welded when I find someone to do it. So next thing I'm going to do is start mounting this crash bar to the front, because then I'll finally have some space in the back of my car. And of course I noticed something else was bent. I'm not sure what this is. I think it might be a temperature sensor, but the bracket it sits in was bent, so I just used 2 pliers to bend it back into place, and then had to rummage through this random box of bolts and try and find 2 of the bolts that seemed the right fit for it, and bolted that on. So now I've got that bolted up, I can't actually find enough crash bar bolts, which is frustrating because I was hyped to get this onto this car and out of mine, but I'll have to drop back in once I've had some delivered. And I'm actually feeling pretty confident. Aside from the under tray, I'm starting to see where everything goes. And whilst I waited for those crash bar bolts to be delivered, I went to a very friendly welder who managed to get this arm on for me and do a great job plug welding it. And now I've got to take everything back off so that I can paint them up. I went to the local shop and got some paint mix, so I'm just going to mask the rest of the car off and give it a quick coat and then some lacquer. Obviously this isn't a great example of how to paint a car, but obviously the rest of the brackets, the paint on them is really bad. It's dirty, it's faded, it's oversprayed, so I'm trying to actually replicate that bad spraying. So I'm just going to go ahead with the base coat. I'm going to keep doing thin layers until it builds up, and then let that dry, do a lacquer coat, and then start building the rest up. And it was all going really well, and I actually love spray painting, I don't know why, but that was until I started removing the masking tape and it revealed the brilliant colour match. So if you ever need some paint matching doing, don't call me. This is hilarious, but I think it does look better and less obvious than when they were just black, but obviously it looks terrible and I'm not going to be leaving it like this. But on this side it's fine because it's going to be covered up by the arch, and I don't think it's going to be super obvious. So after fitting that wing, I can fit the bonnet latch to this freshly painted new arm, and then with that done I had to refit this little temperature sensor thing because obviously that had to come off so that I could paint the bracket underneath. And finally I could actually mount this air intake box for good. So there was a few bolts going into this slam panel at the front and a couple down below as well. So because that is so bad, I'm going to continue the new paint up towards where it's hidden under the arch. That way it's going to stick out a little bit less. It's still not perfect, but it'll be a lot better than it being black or having a massive line in the middle. And now the plan for today is to get this car completely finished except the bumper and maybe the brakes. So first thing is the brand new AC condenser. And this seems super easy to fit. I do have to replace these brackets because they were all bent, but once they're bolted on, the compressor just slides behind them and bolts in. Pretty simple. And then I can remove the caps off the condenser, fit the lines to it and bolt them in with some O-rings, and then connect the other side of those lines to the compressor, and those pipes are already connected to the car so that air conditioning can go into the cabin. Now I can test fit that crash bar, and this little foam piece just pushes on the front, and then not forgetting to plug in the horn and connect this little plastic scuttle thing that goes in front of the intake. And on goes the final bit to the induction system, this snorkel on the front of the car. And now I'm onto the windscreen wiper reservoir, which I'm already amazed at how far this car's come, but we've still got a bit of work to do. I wasn't sure what this sensor box thing is for, but I bolted that on, and then it was kind of tricky locating where the wires and the wiring harness clips into the car. But after I sort of figured that out, it's time to fit a brand new second-hand headlight, because this side was smashed to pieces. And with that on, trying to line it up to the wing was when I started noticing maybe I have another big issue. So for some reason the headlight isn't lining up exactly where it should with the arch. Now this is the original arch from the crash, and it is on this side where all the damage was, so I'm not sure if the arch is a bit bent. I'm going to see if I can try and straighten things out. And after moving the wing about for quite a while and trying to bend it back into place, it did pretty much fit, and I'm so happy because now the car is actually looking like a car and it's just missing the bonnet and the bumper. But time to check if these headlights actually work. Yes, that one works. And that one works as well. And now I can fit the bonnet strut, which was really weird. It just hooks through this hole with a plastic guard on it. And then time to bolt up the bonnet. And this is when we find out if all these panel gaps line up or if I've done something incredibly wrong. But before I show you how the panel gaps are, I want to fit the front bumper first. It's the wrong colour, but I'm going to test fit that and hopefully it all lines up. And then we are very close to getting this car MOT'd and getting it on the road. But the reason it's a different colour is because bonnets and bumpers for these cars are insanely expensive. Like this, £250 for one in the right colour, but it's covered in scratches and cracks. And even if you ignore that, where it mounts is split, so you can't even get it on the car. But this beauty I found for 80 quid off Facebook Marketplace, and it came with a front splitter. Only trouble being, it's got a hole in it. But first I saw this panel gap is awful, and what's worse than that, the slam panel isn't lining up with the bumper. I think this is because the driver's side radiator support bracket is bent at the end and it's pulling the slam panel to the driver's side. And then the bracket on the other side, I think I welded it too low because also the bonnet is sagging on that side. So I've ordered 2 new brackets. I'm going to paint them and get them on, but in the meantime I'm going to swap these brakes over because I've got an MOT booked in a week's time, so I need to get on with this car. And after removing these shockingly light wheels, honestly I couldn't believe how light they were. It's a pretty simple case. You just undo these 2 bolts that hold the caliper on, and then underneath that there's another 2 bolts that hold on the caliper hanger, which is what the caliper mounts to. But then I was having an absolute nightmare trying to get these discs off. They were just seized on, but luckily the Japanese are genius, and there's these 2 threaded holes in the disc, so I just found a bolt that fit in the thread and winded them in equally on either side until it just popped the disc off past all that rust. So after cleaning off as much rust as I can from the hub face, then I could finally fit the brand new shiny disc, which is going to make this car look great and obviously be way better for the new owner. Plus, I'm probably going to need it for the MOT, so a lot of brake cleaner on that. And then I could replace these anti-squeak clips on the caliper hanger, clean up the caliper hanger and fit some brand new brake pads as well. Now, I didn't have a caliper wind back tool on hand, so I just used the G-clamp, but it worked perfectly fine. A good tip is to use the old pad so that it doesn't damage the piston, and then on with some dedicated brake lube so it doesn't make any horrible noises. And after tightening up everything and fitting the caliper, and this side's done. And with that one done, time to do the other 3, but don't worry, I won't make you sit through all of them. And just like that, they're all done. The car is looking good. And this is the last time you'll see this car on these wheels. And that's because I've sent the wheels off to get refurbed, and now they're done. They are in the car and I can't wait to see how these look on the Toyota. Now I did want to get it fully refurbed with the diamond cut finish, but the place I took it to didn't offer that. And now they're all on the car. I'm looking at them. I think I still would have preferred the diamond cut, but I'm so happy with how these turned out. Now somehow one of my cards became corrupted and I lost all of the footage, but I think what I lost was me getting this bumper painted orange the same colour as the car, and because when I tried to fit the bumper it was pulling to one side and the bonnet was sitting low on the other side, I had to bite the bullet and take these 2 arms off, get 2 brand new ones from Toyota and weld them on myself. And I'm gutted I lost this footage, but I was pretty proud of it, I'm not gonna lie. Now that that's all on and painted again, it's time to see if this bumper fits this time. And I'm really hoping that I welded these in the right place, because if I don't, then the panel gaps are gonna be awful and nothing's gonna fit. Like the bumper won't fit, the headlights won't be right. I'll have to do it all again, so this is a big moment. What a result. Now I know that this bumper fits, it's time to take it off and bolt everything on properly. So the first thing is those crash bar bolts that I've now got. And then everything around the headlights and clipping everything into the front bumper before I plug in the lights and stuff. Now the headlights on the top, I will have to zip tie in. For now I haven't got the right things to bolt them in, but that's a minor thing. The MOT is tomorrow, so I'm hoping the car's gonna get finished pretty soon. But to pass that MOT, I'm gonna need working lights. So once the wiring loom is plugged into all the lights, I could start bolting stuff to the front bumper, which involves snapping this grille into place, and then I need to connect the brand new number plate holder. And temporarily, to get it through the MOT, I did this with tie wraps, and it doesn't really matter anyway. It was sturdy, and the number plate just glues to that. Then these shrouds for the fog lights and the indicators, but after clipping it in, I realised the indicator actually had to go in first. So I came back out again, slid this indicator through, bolted it in, and then replaced that shroud before fitting the fog light on the bottom. And I did that on both sides. And then these really annoying indicators get plumbed in, and if you have one of these, you know how bad these are for falling out. But I bolted on the old number plate again and then fitted the bumper after I plugged in all of the lights, and I'm so happy.
Headlights. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe it, all the lights work, it's bolted together. And the final touch is this little cover.
Oh my god, it lines up.
And my girlfriend was as happy as I was when I noticed that this bumper actually lines up with the slam panel. So final thing to do is check if it all lines up. Fingers crossed. Oh, I'm so excited. It looks pretty good if you ask me. Although the passenger side wing isn't looking perfect, it's time to hand this to the mechanics and see if they'll pass it on the MOT so I can drive it. So it might be a bit of a giveaway that I am driving the car, but we passed the MOT and I only had one advisory and I thought it was going to come up, and that was for a insecure battery because the battery tray is not fitted. I didn't have it, so I've ordered that from Toyota. But honestly, this car, it drives so well. There's still a bit of work to be done, but honestly it drives phenomenally. But yeah, I guess it's time to get the front of the car finished and see what we're gonna do about that arch. The front of this car looks so ugly right now because it's got holes in it and it's missing things, so I'm gonna do as much as I can before I go and show everyone the car. And the first thing to stick on is, of course, the emblem. Now, when I stuck this on, I really could not believe how much of a difference it made. It really brings the car together, and it looks so much better than it did before. And another very important thing that I can do now to make it looking that much better is this. There's one on this side, and now there's one on this side as well. I actually think that emblem makes such a huge difference. But there's another thing that I need, this toe and eye cap, and I have got it, but it's not in the right colour. So now whilst that first coat's drying, I'm going to try and sort out this disgusting hole in the front bumper. If you're into that, I'm sorry, but I hate it. So the cheapest thing that I can think to come up with is I've bought some mesh that I'm going to paint the body colour and stick behind it, and hopefully it looks a little bit more normal. Not too sure how it'll turn out, but it only cost me about 10 quid, so paint that. So that first coat on this toe and eye cover was horrendous. It had all these little spots in it. I am certain I'm going to get blasted in the comments for this paint job, but if you've got any tips, let me know, because I need to learn, and this went pretty terribly, but always open for suggestions. I tried, and it's super easy and super cheap to replace anyway, but to get a better finish, I'm going to cover it with lacquer and then lacquer the grille that I'm going to fill this hole with, and then fitting this toe and eye cover is super easy. It just clips in, no problem, and the colour match sucks, but oh well. And then this little black piece arrived, and I could get these headlight washer jet covers fitted, and they're just push fit. But to fill this hole with that mesh is a little bit more complicated because the bumper has to come off again which I think is going to be a regular occurrence. But once that's done, I cleaned up the inside of the bumper and then started cutting away 2 pieces, and with a bit of Sikaflex to glue it down, I put 1 bit of mesh down, put some glue over it, and then did another to try and fill it in a little bit more. I've got that where it looks pretty decent, and I can't wait to see this back on the car because I think this is going to make it look so much better. But then I realised I forgot to put these on. Now these go on the side of the grille, just to redirect air, I'm guessing, but luckily I think I can get them from under the car, so these are going on now. I honestly think that small little modification makes it look so much better. It doesn't look the best, I'll give you that, but it looks so much better than just a giant hole. So, and the third thing is I've bought a new number plate because this one makes it so obvious that it's been in a crash. Obviously it's Cat N, obviously I'll tell the new buyers about that, but they still don't really want to see signs of a previous crash. And just like that, the front of this car is finished. Oh, so I thought it was, until I went to try and test the headlight washer jets to make sure they worked, because then I found this. We do have a big leak. So very annoyingly, it's coming right from behind here and I can't see anything, so it's looking like I'm gonna have to take the bumper and the headlight out again. But before we do that, I need to sort out the only advisory it had on the MOT, which was the battery not being held down securely. So I've got all these parts. And I didn't realise how easy this repair was gonna be. It's literally 2 hooks that are threaded on one end and nuts on the other end, and you just tighten the nuts down and it's done. I'm definitely glad to have finally got that done, and now on paper this is a car with 0 MOT advisories. It's got to be worth some money. Now next, I'm really not looking forward to this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to take off the bumper again, because as you saw from the clip, it's leaking, well, it's spraying out from down here and you can literally see nothing, so it's going to have to be a case of bumper and headlight off again to find out where I went wrong with this one. This pipe here, I believe, is split right where my finger is, which is very annoying. But somehow everything was going easy again, because all I had to do was disconnect this line from the top, and then I found the split here, cut out the damaged part, and basically just replaced that with a new joining piece. Now that is all done, fairly easy. No leaks. Yes! And then after refitting the bumper again, all I had to do was clip in these headlight washer jet covers, and I thought these would have worked on motors, but they actually push out with the power of the hydraulic force when you use the washers, which I thought was interesting. They're working perfectly. I'm so happy that's finally done. Now all I'm going to do is clean the car inside and out, take some really nice photos and get it listed on Facebook Marketplace, Auto Trader and eBay, and try and get some profit out of all the work I've done. Now I've shown cleaning loads of times, so I won't bore you with the full process, but if you want to see it, check one of my older videos out. They have pretty much the whole start to finish thing going in. But I did used to run a detailing business actually, so I spent weeks and years testing different products and finding out which ones work the best and what's the best value for money. So if you're interested on picking up some things to clean your car with, then check in the description and I'll leave the links to my favourite products that I use all the time to get the best result when cleaning your car. And after giving it a bit of a detailing spray on the outside to give it that extra shine, it was time to just hoover up the inside and wipe down all the surfaces to make this look as good as it can. So that was probably a couple of seconds for you, but that was about 4 hours for me. We're finally done and the light is fantastic. So I'm quickly going to get some pictures and list it up for sale. And now the car is actually clean for the first time. It looks phenomenal. Except for one bit, and you might have noticed it. This wing just isn't sitting right, and I'm pretty sure it's damaged. And compared to the other wing, it really doesn't look great. So before I sell it, I want to make sure I'm doing this properly and getting out the best job that I can. So I bought a new wing from Toyota for only 250 quid, but it's in primer, and I need that painted. And for that, I need something to take to the body shop so they can paint match it against. I've got that piece off because I can't leave the car at the body shop because I need it to drive. And that's why I'm here with my friends down at Whiteland Restorations, because they are doing me a huge favour and painting this wing for me. So these guys have got their own channel and you should definitely check it out because they've got some insane restoration projects going. So it's good to finally be here. The road here is definitely a bit of a shakedown for the current project.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
How are you going to make sure that this wing is the same colour as the car without having the car here?
Well, we have this lovely piece here that you've taken off. So what we're going to do is do a quick spray out card of this colour and make sure it matches edge to edge here. And if it's not the right colour, we will tweak the recipe until it's absolutely perfect.
And so I've seen your stuff before, so I know that you guys are very, very good at what you do. But for anyone that hasn't seen your videos, what do you do on the channel Whiteland Restorations?
Well, we do a bit of restoration, do paintwork, fabrication. We also buy awful cars and regret it.
Don't we all? Don't we all? And what is your latest project on the channel so people can go check that out?
Probably the Club Sports here. I owned this for a week and the head gasket blew. And as we were digging into it, we've had it full of rad welds. At the moment, we're just concentrating on a full engine rebuild.
Right, fantastic. That'll be brilliant once it's done. And what is this you've got here?
This is my very old project. It's a Humber Scepter, but it's got a bit of a surprise.
It's a BMW V8 by the looks of it.
A 4.4 litre V8. It's also got a 6-speed manual gearbox.
As you can see, this wing is in very good hands and I can't wait to get it back. And well, here's what it looks like freshly painted. Whiteland have done a phenomenal job. They turned it around quick as well. Now I'm just terrified to see if this fixes the fitment and how well the colour matches. And removing all of the fittings and fixtures off my old damaged wing onto the new one was getting more and more nerve-wracking, because if this doesn't fix my issues, I don't know what will. So I quickly took it off, fitted the new one, and the colour match is nowhere near as bad as it looks. That's just because the new wing is clean and the car's gotten dirty after dailying it. So after a bit of adjustments and that, I am so happy with how this is looking. I mean, the colour match, at first I thought it was bad, but the car's dirty. I actually think it's a really good colour match, and look at this arch gap now. I am over the moon. Look at how much better this looks. I don't need any more checks than that. And if you remember, there is one final last thing to do on this car before it's sold, and that is replace this trim piece. But I did ruin almost all of these clips taking it off the car, so I've had to replace them with brand new ones from Toyota, and of course I got a brand new sticker as well, because this uses double-sided tape to keep it secure. So with all those new clips pushed into place and this new sticker carefully fitted. And for the final finishing touch, looking at this car now, I'm actually genuinely proud of myself. And that's because despite taking on my biggest project, finding extra damage, thinking the whole thing was going to go up in flames and struggling on my own to even get this done, then not being able to get it running right, making stupid mistakes, disappointment, and then when I thought it was going well, things not lining up and thinking I might have ruined it. After all of that, I actually managed to turn this car into this. And I couldn't be happier. I wanted to give up so many times, but I stuck with it, and in the end I was left with this beautiful car. And I'm not even really bothered about the profit anymore. I'm just so happy that I actually made it to the end of this project and have this to show for it. Oh man, looking at it, I really thought I'd done something very wrong, but it turns out I just needed a new wing, and now the car looks unbelievable. I'm so glad I got that done. It would be a shame for me to sell this car without enjoying it for one last drive. I've wanted one of these for years. And now this is finally working, I get to enjoy it. I cannot believe the journey that this has been on. It's been by far the hardest project that I have ever taken on. But my God, it's worth it. But now I've had the opportunity to buy and drive my dream car, it's time for someone else to enjoy it. So all that's left to do is to sit and wait until someone sees the ad and buys the car. And finally, it did take ages to sell this car. I think because it's a niche car and I'm sort of in the middle of nowhere. But after a few months of the car being listed on Auto Trader and Facebook Marketplace, I finally got someone to look around the car, and the first person to view it bought it. Now, I had it listed for £8,000, then I reduced it to £7,500 because it wasn't selling. And after this guy looked around the car, we agreed on a price, and it was £7,000. Now, all in, I was actually £6,811 in, which leaves me with a profit of £188. But, and this is a big but, after looking through the paperwork, I realised the clutch and flywheel was changed less than 10,000 miles ago. So that was £451 I shouldn't really have spent. On top of that, I've got the splitter that came with the bumper that I could sell for £100. And I ended up spending so much money getting parts so that I could get them quickly. Like, I paid £40 for 4 lug nuts from Toyota. So, I mean, I did overspend, but still, I'm just glad the car's gone and I've got the money back in my account to go on the next project. So if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch this video next.